Too many of us are not living their dreams because they are instead living their fears, said Les Brown, a famous motivational speaker and radio talker that you may have heard about. But have you ever heard about his life story of a change? 1. Les Brown was born in Miami in 1945 with his own brother. And when he was at school, he wasn't brilliant at studying in contrast to his own brother, what led his teachers to diagnose him as mentally retarded. And he continued many of his studying years with this diagnosis that didn't change anymore until one day, after many years, he met a professor in class who asked him to read aloud what was written on the board in front of all of his other classmates. When Les looked around himself and saw his other classmates, he struggled and said, "No, I cannot read aloud, as I'm mentally retarded." These words made the professor marvel, and then he said to Les, "The people's opinions about you shall not become your reality." And at this moment, Les started to analyze and think about these grateful words that fortunately constructed the conventional point of his life. And from this time, Les started to put his goals in life and work for them. He tried a lot, faced many experiences, strived and overcame many challenges to finally become one of the best, famous and prosperous motivational speakers in the world that inspires many people and changes their lives. And after achieving this grateful success, Les said, "What I have achieved today could be achieved many years ago, but fearing to fail and following others' opinions was what stopped me from following my own goals in life." So, why do you think I'm telling you this story, and what can be the theme of it? This story can be driven into many different grateful themes, but from my point of view, the most remarkable one can be the psychological phenomenon known as self-doubt. So what's self-doubt? Well, self-doubt can be defined as the tendency to doubt your own competence, your entire capabilities, and your personal value. And people who are feeling self-doubt may be not understanding themselves very well or even their entire skills, what leads them to follow others' opinions. So they fear to take action, to move forward, or even to follow their goals in life because of fearing the results, fearing to be wrong, and fearing to hear criticism. And to recall, in case of Les Brown, his self-doubt was because of his low self-awareness, what forced him to follow others' opinions about his life. This takes us to some mental health concerns associated with this psychological phenomenon, and they are anxiety, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low self-awareness, and this all results in difficulty in making decisions and emotional instability. And you may wonder how this phenomenon rises up, how it develops, and why. Your brain has the ability to change over time, what's known as neural plasticity. And actually, self-doubt is associated with 3 interacting emotional systems within your brain, and each of which has its own evolutionary purpose. The first one is actually called the threat system. This is your fight or flight system, and it helps you to decide how to react in the face of threat. It can stimulate or even be stimulated by the phase of self-criticism, which is processed within your brain as the real threat. And when you experience self-doubt, or even when your self-esteem is low, this system goes into action. It triggers the release of cortisol, which forces you to flee the situation and go into hiding. You engage in this avoidance type behaviors as an immediate defense to protect yourself from personal doubt. And luckily, other 2 systems can override the fight or flight system. And the first one is the drive system. This system is your approach system that relies on the release of dopamine and prompts you to move forward and take action. And the second one is what's called the caregiving or soothing system. This system is involved within your nurturing motivations, and most importantly, it gives rise to your ability to act compassionately to both yourself and others. So, how to deal with this phenomenon? Recently, psychologists and therapists have been developing a therapy called a cognitive behavioral therapy, abbreviated as CBT. And this type of therapy depends on following some strategies and methods to challenge problematic ways in thinking. It depends on contacting directly with life coaches and psychologists. And as I'm believing and really recommending self-recovery, for those who are also believing in self-recovery, psychologists have been suggesting some steps to follow on to get rid of your self-doubt. The first step is actually to stop making excuses, as we know that excuses are mental barriers that we erect from our entire thoughts and thus they hold us back. And you may have observed that I said our entire thoughts. So changing our entire thoughts can be a solution. And how to do this takes us to the second point, which is beware of your close circle. As mentioned earlier in brain plasticity, that experiences we face recognize our neural pathways. Simply, the people we meet, experiences we face, and jobs we do, all of this are determinants of our entire thoughts. And thus, revise your own close circle circumstances, and if they affect you negatively, simply change this. And this will help you to feel better. The third point tells you to raise your self-awareness. You may have some internal capabilities and skills, but you don't know about them. And many life coaches help you to know and raise your self-awareness. But I'm recommending for you as a strategy of self-recovery to read a lot. It's known that readers are leaders. You know why? Because they have a great self-awareness and they are also aware of many different aspects in our world. They dive into many writers' minds to know how they think and learn from them. And also, they have a great synaptic connections between their neural pathways and nerves. The first point tells you to practice self-compassion. And for those who are wondering what's self-compassion is your self-esteem. And it's a concept known in psychology as how you appreciate your efforts, your opinions, and yourself. Even if people aren't appreciating you, you are great. So believe in yourself and trust your capabilities and appreciate yourself. Finally, the fifth point tells you to trust your values and don't ask for validation, in order not to make yourself as a commodity in other people's hands. Actually, no one is perfect. Each one has his own strengths and weakness points. But maybe the difference between types of people is related to the three concepts, which are self-compassion, self-awareness, and self-confidence. So keep in mind these three grateful concepts that you will need a lot in your journey towards fighting self-doubt. And as we have started with Les Brown's story, let's end with his quote, which says, "You gotta be a risk taker. If you are not willing to risk, you are not gonna grow. And if you are not gonna grow, you will not become your best. And if you will not become your best, you will not be happy. And if you will not be happy, what else is there? Think about it." So just believe in yourself and start your journey towards fighting your self-doubt. That's all, and thanks for listening.